In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Aurora Ipsilon Deluxe fountain pen with italic nib. I'll go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links in the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. All right, let's get on with the review. Before we dive into the review, I want to talk about Aurora a little bit. Over the last year and a half, I've been having a lot of trouble with their specialty nibs. I would say, I don't know, 75% of them, the specialty nibs in particular, have been problematic. They haven't been right. They've all needed some adjustment. This is new for Aurora, in my opinion. They have a master nibmeister, or that was my understanding, that does all these specialty nibs for Aurora, but I've been having a real hard time with them. And you know, if you watch this channel, you know I love Aurora. This is pretty much my favorite brand. They make my favorite pen, the Aurora Optima, but I have not been happy with their specialty nibs as of late. So I don't know what they're doing differently, but their quality control with the specialty nibs in particular doesn't seem to be there. Like, I know they're ground by hand or whatever, but I don't know who's testing them. So Aurora, you're probably not listening, but if you are somehow listening, please fix this. I'm a big champion of Aurora. This is my favorite pen brand. The reason that you buy an Aurora is because they are designed for writers. They are super comfortable, very well made pens with the best nibs in the business. Now, their goodwill is evaporating for me with their specialty nibs. I sell Aurora pens at the Paper Mind. Their quality of the actual physical pen is still phenomenal. I've never had really any issues with the build quality of their pens. We're talking about pens from the 30s up till now. They're all really, really well made. I will also say that their standard nib grades, you know, extra fine through broad, are excellent, and I have not had any issues. But as of late, the specialty nibs are been nothing but a headache for me. And Aurora has not done a good job checking their nibs, fixing their nibs. This pen went back to Aurora twice, and they never fixed it. I'll show you what the nib looked like. I'm not an artist, but this was the shape of the point of the italic nib. They had these rounded tines, and sent it to them once. Italy didn't fix it, came back, sent it to them again, didn't fix it, came back. It did not write properly, obviously. Those tines should have been flat across, and they weren't. So this pen went to Mike Masuyama, who made it right the first time. But this is just a really disappointing experience. And this isn't the only pen that I've been having problems with. Several of the big Aurora specialty nibs have had problems. And at this point, it's like, well, I'm not sending them back to Aurora. They need to go to a nibmeister that's actually going to address this. For Aurora to be in Visconti territory really hurts, honestly. Like, yeah. I'll just tell you right now, as an Aurora dealer, if you're buying specialty Aurora nibs, just bake in the fact that you're probably going to have to send them to a nibmeister. I hope Aurora will address that. Don't know. Yeah, anyway. So this pen started off really disappointing. It's, I don't know, 7 or 8 months before I really got to start enjoying this pen. So very disappointed in Aurora. I still think they make a great pen, but be careful with their specialty nibs. This is the Aurora Ipsilon Deluxe fountain pen, and this is basically an upgraded version of the standard Aurora Ipsilon, as the name would indicate. I think the best way to talk about what the upgrades are is to show it with a couple of other Ipsilons and just point out the main differences here. So at the bottom here is the Aurora Ipsilon Metallic. This is a pen I've actually had for around 20 years now. This was a gift from my grandparents, and I absolutely love this pen. It is a fantastic workhorse pen, and I think that really is how I would look at the entire Ipsilon line. They're just Really excellent, easy to use everyday pens. And then this is the standard Aurora Ipsilon. And one of the differences actually between the Deluxe, the metallic, and the regular Ipsilon is the regular Ipsilon has a more bulbous cap. It flares out a bit more in the middle, where these two are a bit more straight. Now, I previously reviewed the Aurora Ipsilon Deluxe lacquer, and if you remember from that review, the Ipsilon Deluxe has a 14 karat gold nib, and that's really what the biggest difference is between all three of these pens. Now, visually, apart from the slightly more straight cap, you can see that the clip is filled in with a red lacquer. Now, these pens are called the Ipsilon, which means Y, I believe, in Italian, and they have a Y clip here. Now, by filling that in, you create some negative space, and that Y really stands out a bit more. I think a very good looking pen. I don't personally prefer having this filled in. If we look at it a bit closer, like the lacquer work is pretty clean, but it's not perfect. I would have preferred if they just left it blank, but it's just an extra layer of visual distinction there, and it really shows off that Y clip. Now, when we take off the cap, we have a 14 karat gold nib, which is different than the standard Ipsilon and the Ipsilon Metallic, which have steel nibs. And if we look at these nibs, we can see that there's an extra trim ring on the Deluxe model, and it has a 14 karat gold nib with more decoration than the standard Aurora Ipsilon steel nib, which is quite a bit more plain, but otherwise they are pretty much the same. Now, looking at the feeds, we can see that the Ipsilon Deluxe has IT on the feed because this is an metallic nib. Those are really the only main differences between these pens. Now, the price of these pens is quite a bit more expensive. The retail price for the standard Deluxe, like I have here, is $275 with around a $220 street price. It's pretty pricey. You're paying about $100 more to have that gold nib. Now, this one has an metallic nib, and that has a additional cost to it of $150. It's the same upcharge for the bigger nib pens like the Aurora Optima, and that brings the total price retail $425 or $340 street to have one with an metallic nib. Now, going back to that nib, this Optima also has an metallic nib. The nib points, they have these sort of T-shaped points on the metallic that is pretty unique to Aurora. Now, if you notice on the Ipsilon, the T shape isn't quite perfect. And as I stated earlier, this pen went back to Aurora twice and they never fixed it. I sent it to Mike Masayama to make it right correctly, and as his website is called, Make It Work, he did do that. I was pretty disappointed with the performance of this out of the box. Aurora really should be doing a better job with their specialty nibs, and in the past they have done a fantastic job, but in the last year or so I have not been very happy with them. But anyway, it's working now, and this is basically a nib with the same performance as the Aurora Optima with its bigger nib. So if you wanted an Aurora Italic, this is the cheapest way to get one with a gold nib, that is. And just keep in mind, you might need to be sending it to a Nibmeister, which is unfortunate. Now, talking about the pen just in general, I think this pen has quite a good look, and it doesn't look like any other pen really that I can think of. It has a nice high waistline here with a ring that says Aurora and Italy because it's made in Italy, and that's all that's on it. And on the back of the clip, you can see it says stamped Italy. The great thing about Aurora, they make everything themselves in-house, and the quality of their pens is really excellent. Even though I've had issues with their specialty nibs, their pens have been rock solid. Doesn't matter if it's, a pen I've had from the 1930s to, 2024. They are just really well-made pens, and they're in my opinion, writer's pens. In terms of the shape, the bottom of the tail on the barrel here is pretty flat. It won't stand up on the desk. There is some roundness to it. We have a trim ring here, which also acts as a clutch for the snap cap, and it tapers down towards the tail a decent amount, and then the cap is the fattest part of the pen here, and it starts tapering down towards the finial about halfway into the cap there. And there's no finial, it's just basically like a cone shape on the top there. And the clip ring comes out. Again, this is a Y-shaped, Y-designed clip. If you look at it from the side profile, it comes out quite a bit and then it tapers down towards a point before just sort of a big hunk of metal on the end there. Very nice made, sturdy clip, very sturdy clip. Again, snap cap, really nice, crisp snap, and it snaps onto the back for comfortable writing. We have a trim ring here on the section, which is also where it is threaded, and then it tapers down, and there's a little ridge here, bump, before you get to a trim ring, so you just know where to not grip any further. Now, like the standard Aurora Ipsilon, there are seams on here. This is an injection molding. They're not present on the body, but they are present on the grip section, and if you slide your fingers around, you can feel it. In normal use, it never bothers me, but it's something that you can see, and if you look for it, with your fingers, you will feel those seams, which I think could be, polished down a bit. And then for the converter here, it is a proprietary Aurora converter. People tell me all the time that Parker converters fit, so I will say I believe that to be the case. Pretty much a standard converter. It just has a fatter connection point than a typical international converter, but otherwise the size and shape is pretty much the same. Now, the deluxe model does come with the converter. The standard model does not. Let's do some measurements here, and looking at about 135, 136 long, or uncapped at about I'd say like 119. And then posted, this is a great pen to post because it has that snap cap, 148 millimeters, I would say. So nice size. This is, a full-size pen, certainly not an oversized pen, but very, very comfortable, long grip section. Aurora knows how to make a pen for people that want to write. Now, in terms of the grip section, at the widest point just above the metal ring there, 10.8, and at the narrowest just before that little ridge there, 8.8. And the barrel, for those that are interested, 11.6, roughly 11.7. Now let's do the weight, 22.46. So very comfortable weight, uncapped, looking at 15.3. You can use it uncapped or posted. Pretty much always use it posted just because it clicks on there so perfectly. It's really just meant to be on there. And the balance is really good. It's not a super long pen. I find it comfortable posted and unposted. If you have really big hands, you might want to just always post it, but it's personal preference. Going to be using a Papermind Mitsubishi bank paper notebook. These notebooks are excellent with fountain pens, and for Blake's broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Now let's see here. I actually have had the cap on this off for a minute or two, so let's see if it goes. Yep. Aurora Ipsilon Deluxe Italic, and this is Yamaguri. Let's just do the oh my gosh, I can't write today. Now, italic is pretty hard to do fast writing with because you need to keep the tip exactly right on there, but we can do some. It keeps up pretty nicely. Now we can try fast writing. No guarantees here. These like big skips here are me. But I think if you really do keep pushing this, eventually it might skip on me. It seems to be holding up pretty good. You know, Mike has tuned this so that it writes really, really nicely. You know, like what I like about this nib is, or this pen, is that basically you get the same tip that you get on an Aurora Optima, which is a more expensive pen and it's a piston filler, whereas this, you know, you've got snap caps versus the threaded cap, so it's very nice for everyday use. I mean, the Aurora Optima is too, but this is just even more convenient than that. It's a smaller size. You know, I travel with my Ypsilons a lot, although I do travel with my Optimas too. But you get that same amazing italic writing experience in a much lower priced pen. You know, this had to go to a Nibmeister to make it right, which I'm not very happy about. But Mike did a fantastic job, and now I love the pen. But that is for sure a downside. I hope Aurora can do a better job with their specialty nibs, because I just haven't been very happy with them recently. But now that this is all sorted out, this is just a phenomenal everyday pen with that same amazing italic point that the Optima has that I really love so much. One other thing I forgot, flexibility. This nib does not like to be flexed. There is a little bit of softness there. So this is no pressure. And then if I put some pressure on there, it does give you some, there's no pressure. So you do see a little bit there versus no pressure. There's some there. These nibs don't really like to be pushed on, so I just wouldn't really bother with that. Reverse writing is pointless, I think, on an italic nib like this. So what are my pros and cons for the Aurora Ipsilon Deluxe with italic nib? Well, now that the italic nib has been sorted out, it is a fantastic writer. It's a great everyday pen. I love the snap caps, the big grip section. It's just a great, great everyday pen. Full-size pen without being oversized, great travel pen. I've had this one for over 20 years and it's served me really, really well. Now, in terms of cons, these pens are expensive. You know, $220, I believe, is the street price for the Deluxe with the standard gold nib. I don't really recommend that over the steel nib version unless you just really like this lacquered clip. I don't really think you're gaining too much out of them. Now, if you go with the specialty nibs, that adds $150 to the price. Well, I guess street price would probably be around $340, which is kind of a lot, but you do get that fantastic Aurora italic nib. Aurora does not seem to be doing a good job with quality control on those italic nibs, so you're going to have to probably get it fixed by somebody, so bake that into the price. The other thing, which has always been a complaint for me for the Aurora Ipsilon, are the seams on the grip section. You kind of have to look for them, you kind of have to feel for them, but they are there, similar to most Pilot custom pens. Platinum 3776, the plastic ones. That's my main issue quality-wise with the pen, apart from the specialty nibs, which I've already talked enough about. But that's pretty much it. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen, paper, and ink videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.